Would anybody have a guess as to how old I am? 48? No.
70?
70? No.
60?
No. I'm going to tell you how old I am because I'm a grandfather. I'm 85. Yeah, I'm 85. Yeah. And I really like being a grandfather. There are a lot of reasons for that. First is you can, when your grandchildren are little, my wife and I have 3 children and 6 grandchildren. And when they were little, as a grandfather, I could tease them all the time. I could pull jokes on them. I could play tricks on them. I could just do almost anything, like that. Now that they're older, they don't pay attention to me anymore. But I had a lot of fun doing it. And I mention this to you all because if you make that choice in about 12, even in 7,000 or 8,000 years, you could be a parent. And you have to be a parent before you can be a grandparent. So you all have to start working on that. And if you help your parents be better parents, that'll be a good thing along the way. But thank you all for coming up. Thank you.
When I think about getting to know people, I think especially about the class and culture gaps in our society. I've always had trouble interacting with my neighbors. I like to be thought of as a good neighbor, someone who's a positive influence, who's, that nice guy. But I have a lot of social anxiety, even though I'm standing up here. But if I'm talking to someone on the street, it's difficult. Years ago, I remember some positives with my neighbors, and in the past year, I think I was a good landlord to my recent tenants. But with my new neighbors in Santa Clara, I've had some difficult interactions. One set of neighbors has had parties with a lot of cars and loud rap music, parked out into the street, like far out. And our landlord's stepson called the police on them at one point. Another South Asian family has 2 small kids who often play unsupervised, running through our yard, and recently they came into our yard and broke some sentimental pottery that we had there. And these are real problems, and we have to push back some, but I'd wish for some more positive interactions to balance them out. I think, not sure how yet, but I think it is possible. I remember how my son, when he was little, would play on the sidewalk with the son of our Tongan family next door, Nuku. And they would just play out on the sidewalk. He learned to skateboard that way. Well, not very well, but or how I'd always call another neighbor of mine who was a taxi driver, and that would be the taxi I always used to get to the airport. And these are ways that we can connect with our neighbors, and even despite class boundaries or in social interactions. For a long time, I had gone to. My son had started taking hip hop dance classes. I went to a community street jam with him to learn a lot of that. And there was unfortunately that folded and closed, but they joined with Studio S on Broadway, and it made for a curious culture class as what was previously 2 separate communities. We had this line of little blonde girls with their ballet slippers on, and then all the hip-hop dancers from Community Street Jam would come into the upstairs room. But they got along. We would talk about dance and so forth. So I think there is possibility to bridge these gaps, but we need to take interactions and take a step outside of our own gaps. So, thank you.
We hear many times about the difficulties of communicating with minority people, people of different ethnic backgrounds, even the kind of situations that Hanju just described. And we're offered opportunities to go to workshops to learn better how to do it. But this morning I'd like to think with you about some of the things that go on in our lives that we can't help sometimes, or things that we can help that might make us a better fit for our neighbors. The first notion is the idea of social capital. Social capital. Economic capital is when people have lots of money, and they can be developers or they can do startup companies. They have all the money they want and need to do anything with. But about 60 years ago now, a French sociologist, Pierre Bourdieu, created the concept of social capital, that societies make arrangements where people with more money tend to create advantages for themselves and their children. For example, in recent years, I've attended several graduations at Nueva School. It's a very good quality private school very near here, where it costs about $45,000 a year for any child to be there. I went to those graduations, and almost every single student is going to an expensive, usually elite, private university. I also went last year to Woodside High School graduation, where my grandson Alex was the only National Merit Scholar for that much larger class. And to see the difference in the graduation of all of those students from Woodside versus Nueva just dramatically illustrated to me the advantages that those students from Nueva will have in life over people from lesser economic social backgrounds. And we all have social advantages, most of us anyway, of some kind or other. We start by being white, which gives us a lot of advantages in this culture that we don't even think about. But we learn many other things through the amount of education we're fortunate to receive. And it's very, very hard to conceal the comfort and poise that in our self-possession that we have from being well educated and reasonably well off when we meet people from different social backgrounds. We don't mean to do it, but we exude the comfort of the life that we live. Another example would be we live near where Route 92 crosses 101, and we walked across the bridge over Interstate 101, and it was just amazing to me to see these cars down below, 4 and 5 lanes each way, going very, very fast, and most of the time not running into each other, all these drivers doing it had the habit of knowing how to do this, and enormous parts of our lives are governed by the habits that we have. They make us more efficient. We know where things are and what to do, and we continually are guided by the habits that we've accumulated. And sometimes things don't work. For example, my wife sometimes rearranges things, and I can't find the damn thing in the house. And it's a real problem. But when things interrupt habits, we do notice, and sometimes the habits are broken by our own problems. You know, we inadvertently offend somebody. We act intemperately toward them. We wish we hadn't done that. We want to apologize, and sometimes we do. And sometimes we do stupid things, you know, like tripping or stumbling or, you know, looking foolish, being caught out of the role that we thought we were in. It's always when we're meeting other people, including in this congregation, we have a notion of how we should behave in general toward the group, but also in relationship to individual people that we know. We know some much better than others, and you know, we just immediately draw upon what we remember about how we relate to that person, and it's hard to create these roles and get to know people. We're lucky if we have even 5 or 6 really close friends or 1 or 2 best friends. You know, a best friend is someone you know so well that you don't even have to think about it. The role relationship, you can be yourself all the time. The love of your life, your best friend, whatever. And sometimes you can have 2 or 3 like that, and sometimes a few more, you know, general good friends. But we're always, most of the time, are looking to get better acquainted with more people. And some of the things that go wrong with it are, you know, for example, we meet people who are dramatically different from us, that they have a stigma. To create I'll use a word from sociology again. They have something very different about them. They use a wheelchair. They might use a white cane. They might be disfigured some way, and their presence interrupts our habits. We're unaccustomed to relating to a person that looks that way, or acts that way, or talks that way, and it takes a while to get used to that. But it also troubles the other person. The person with the stigma, you know, continually has to manage the situation. That they want to preserve their humanity. They want to preserve their individual dignity. They want to be like everybody else. So they have to put up with and manage the unusual attention they sometimes get. I could give you 100 examples, but one of my favorite. A year or two ago, we were at a dance at a party near Sacramento, and I knew most of the people, and most of the people knew that I don't see very well, but I do like to dance, and you know, kind of freestyle dancing, and I was dancing with this woman. And near the end of that time, she called out loud to other people in an excited way, "He's got rhythm." Like how in the world could a guy like me have rhythm? Under some conditions, I might have said something to her, but she was hopeless. You know, but people come to interaction with the whole history behind them. When you meet, for example, a new person of African American background, we put ourselves forward to try to become acquainted. But it's hard for us even to imagine all of the past experiences they bring to that moment. They're looking at you just in the way you're looking at them. And it's awfully hard for us to put ourselves in their shoes, to imagine how they're seeing or feeling as we offer ourselves as possible new friends. Example that recently appealed to me, that in Mississippi there's a race for governor, and one of the current Democratic candidate is a guy named Brandon Presley, and he's doing very well in so far, and he has some advantages. He's a white guy, and when he campaigns in the black part of Jackson or other parts of Mississippi, he often says, I'm a white guy, and I can't do anything about it, and I'm from a Tupelo area, and I'm a poor boy, and I can't do anything about that. But working together, we can improve Mississippi. And with his candid, straightforward, unopposing approach, he has won the support of most of the African American politicians, which has almost never happened in Mississippi before. He has one other advantage. He's the second cousin of Elvis Presley, so that may help, and I hope it does. My favorite Elvis Presley song is "In the Ghetto," which I think is a great song. Maybe we get the choir to do that. Anyway, what can you do about it? If you look around today, you don't see too many people who are of different backgrounds here. So how can you have the opportunity to know someone better in a way that they could become significant friends? Well, one way is to put yourself where they are. You can volunteer in the different programs that we know about in the community, the faith and action programs, the programs to get lower cost housing, the programs for better rent treatment, the various programs to help undocumented people have better lives here. There are many things you can do where when you're in the same community with people, they quickly know you and you know more about them, and you're sort of on the way to better understanding people from those kind of backgrounds. Last week, Maeve commented that one of the basic things we have to do is to have respect for every single person we meet, and remember they're as much human as we are. And if you pluck the chickens, we all look the same. Just being down to earth and being your own best friend helps you a long way to being friends of others.